Are you trying to say that Nigeria has not been existing?
Not only Nigeria, all African countries don't exist.
Why do you say so?
African countries, Mr. Okocha, they're just the dream of the neo-colonists. They've been fabricated, they've been made up.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are watching this live broadcast from, and also the time you are going to watch it. Today is the 15th day of March 2024, being Friday. And next 4 days, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Marcel Nnamdi Kanu, there will be a court case for him to be released. Today, we are going to discuss about the golden opportunity with Clavis Gael, a South African author of Afro-democracy, the New African Order. He's a regular guest on this channel, and he's very interested in this case of Nnamdi Kanu because he said that he don't have any reason to be detained or to be arrested because he's fighting a good cause. He is the author of the Afro-democracy, the New African Order, as I just said, and in his book, it's all about returning power to the native people. Clavis Johnson is advocating for us to stop the presidency system of government, which is against the people. So today, he's going to discuss with us how Nigeria missed the golden opportunity. What is this golden opportunity Nigeria missed? And how did Nigeria miss the golden opportunity? That is what you are going to hear in this live broadcast. Mr. Clavis, you are welcome.
Thank you.
You have the floor.
Well, Mr. Okocha, we're talking about the golden opportunity that's been missed by the Nigerian government, by the Nigerian Republic, if I have to put it that way.
Yeah.
But I have to be cautious about how this opportunity was missed exactly and what really missed it. Because we're talking about Nigeria missing that opportunity. But have we ever asked ourselves questions? What is Nigeria, first of all? You see, so Nigeria, we can call it a country just like any other African country, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Mali, all those kinds. But what is a country as such?
Okay, what is a country?
Yeah, it must be a grouping of people with common political values and other aspects of society. But when it comes to African countries, we don't have such. We don't have such. That is throwing this kind of doubt on the main definition of a country in the context of Africa. In the context of Afro-democracy, I've said that the African country as such does not exist. So if we have to talk about the opportunity within a certain country and expect that country to grab that opportunity as well, we have to ask ourselves first: first of all, is that country really existing? Because if it's existing, well, it will grab that opportunity. But if it's not existing as such, so we've been wasting our energy and time. That's what I can say.
Are you trying to say that Nigeria has not been existing?
Not only Nigeria, all African countries don't exist.
Why do you say so?
African countries, Mr. Okocha, they're just the dream of the neo-colonists. They've been fabricated, they've been made up and called as such as a country, but they don't exist, provided that the people who are originally from that so-called country are not common ideologically, politically, socially. And just because of that, we cannot call such a grouping of people as a nation, as a country. And for that matter, the country does not exist. And I can even go further. For the pastors who pray for a country, when they give their lines of prayers, like pray for this country here, pray for this, and just count how many pastors we have in our countries. Yet, their prayers about such a country is not being granted by God. If I can stand on the side of God, I'll be asking myself, is God really seeing that country named in the prayer as a country as such? Or it's like we are praying for a lion, but we are telling God that it is not a lion, but it's an elephant. Then God will be looking for the elephant on the ground. He sees nothing but a lion. We'll be talking about a country. We want our country to be free. We call that country is Nigeria. But when you look around, there is no Nigeria as a country existing, except the dream of the neo-colonists. And how do you expect the universe to locate us?
Hmm.
How do you expect the universe to see where we are? And in order to grant our wishes according to that nation we are calling as Nigeria, because it does not exist. It's like we are swimming within a field that is non-existent, and we expect to come up with existing results. That does not make sense in this context of African countries. We don't exist as countries as such. We don't. We've been lied to.
You never cease to amaze me, Mr. Clavis. You mean we've never existed as a nation?
We never existed. You can just see the way the West is always treating us like trash, because we don't exist as countries. When our president goes to the UN, when they have all these United Nations summits happening over there, they don't value them as president of a certain country. Because if we take it literally, that country does not exist. Why should they value as the president of the country? It is for that matter, a Western president can summon an African president. Oh my, I don't even call them president aside, because what gives that power? What gives that president that power to summon his
Fellow
counterpart
president.
whatsoever, who's also a president like him? What gives him power? Unless there's one who's a president of a certain country in the West, and the other is a fake or a so-called president in a non-existent country in Africa. That is real right there. So we are not existing as countries. We are just existing as the neo-colonist dream, the farms whereby they can do whatsoever they want, and they falsely call us as country as such, but we are not.
You have been talking about that Nigeria and other Africa countries is just the dream of people that colonized us.
Yeah.
Now, it seems that before Nigeria missed an opportunity, it seems maybe there were opportunities for us to get back to our feet. So tell us, what is this opportunity that we have missed? What is this golden opportunity?
By missing this opportunity, first of all, we really acted ignorant in the way that we claimed to be a country while we were not. So all the way we've been fighting for a non-existent country, I can say. We've been fighting for non-existent values, I can say. And by doing that, we've been moving away from the main dream, from the main opportunity to address our issues from our roots.
Okay.
The golden opportunity was to question whether really we are a nation. And if we are really a nation, let us fight in the defense of that nation. So in this context here, our golden opportunity, Mr. Okocha, is to go back and question ourselves in which context or on which ground us as Africans or as Nigerians do exist. But first of all, we don't exist as Nigerians. We don't exist as Nigerians.
If we do not exist as Nigerians, where do we exist, or how do we exist?
We do exist as Nigerians just to please the dream of the neo-colonists. They wanted us to be Nigerians. They wanted us to be South Africans. They wanted us to be Ivorians. Yet we don't exist as such. Look at us today. When we go out there as a Nigerian, how much are we valued? And how much are we not valued? We feel like not existing in our own countries. And do you think we'll exist when we go out of our own countries? We do not exist as Nigerians as such, if we have to put it that way. When we claim existing as Nigerians, we are only entertaining the dream of the neo-colonists. As Africans, we do exist as people belonging to a certain golden age that is coming all the way from the root of our existence, and that is taking us back again to the theories of tribalism. That if I am who I am, if I behave this way, if I dress that way, if I dance this way, if we organize our traditional wedding that way, it's simply because we belong to a certain golden age according to a certain tribe that the white man is trying to erase from our cultural values so that we can be called falsely Nigerians or whatsoever. But by doing that, we are not finding our ways, because even the universe does not know us as Nigerians, but they know us according to our lanes of our origins. That is where we are. We are missing that golden opportunities because we are not addressing our issues from the roots. But
Okay.
you're entertaining a dream of the neo-colonists, of which we are not a dreamer.
In
We will
our
never
previous
succeed.
live broadcast, I told you about the threats. That if you are fighting for you to go back to your root, like to have your independent country, regardless that we have it in the United Nations Charter, that it is your fundamental human right for self-determination, maybe to have your own country and take your people and form your own nation. But if you do that in so many African countries, including Nigeria, they will charge you for treason. In
But
the beginning of this video, I told you that Nnamdi Kanu will be appearing in court next 4 days, being 19th day of March 2024. He will be appearing on the court because they want to bail him. What is his crime? He wants his people to have their own country through a referendum. In the threats of all these things, how would you expect people to come out and really work for the value of their people?
in the same way, Mr. Okocha, if since we are recalling our previous interviews, going on referendum, as I said, with the hope that we have the support of the United Nations Charter whatsoever, that is a lie that we are telling ourselves, because we will never succeed in that way. If the United Nations was real as an institution, so why are they not standing for all those prisoners who are trying to go with their own people and create their own countries? But you also know that the United Nations is the United Kingdom right now that is leading Nigeria behind the presidency. So whatsoever you do and expecting support from the United Nations, while you are doing that against the United Kingdom, you are deceiving yourself, because you'll never get that support. You'll go to prison. You'll suffer. That is my black brother there. That is my black sister right there, suffering because he or she spoke on behalf of his people. But at the end of that, let us find another way. It is not easy through referendum to go this way, because we are going against a dream, of which the dream is Nigeria, of which we've been falsely identified as Nigerians, yet we are carrying a false identity, because Nigeria is just a dream that has been dreamed by the dreamer to carry up his own mandate of looting our resources. It's so simple right there. Mr. Okocha, the last time you asked me whether the government could be able to align itself with the values, I mean, with this
Okay.
because the government is not established for us. We don't elect them, that's why they don't serve the people. They are nominated by the West, that's why they serve the interests of the West. Now, here's the issue, Mr. Okocha. I am going to say it clearly. For us to depart in this way, we have to refer to the case of Mali, the case of Niger, the case of Burkina Faso. There's been sudden political change right there, against the expectation of the West. And from that, should a leader be Afro-democrat, or should a leader be above what has been established, not to hold on that position as the so-called president, a revolution has been imposed on us and contrary to our values. So those are the people to turn us around back to regionalism, to a kind of federalism whereby each and every tribe will be given a voice. And that is the golden opportunity that us, not Nigerians, us, not people from Mali or whatsoever, will grab or would have missed, but as people from a certain tribe, because the tribe is what defines us as citizens of a particular land. That is right there, Mr. Okocha. It's not easy to go back to that through referendums.
We have two activists as figures who are pursuing for separatist movement. One is Sunday Igboho. He wants the Yoruba nation to have their own country. And another one is Marcel Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu wants the Igbos to have their own country. And these two people, they are not finding it easy as you think. This is because the government is sabotaging every move that they are making. And it seems that this is just the golden opportunity you are talking about that Nigeria has missed. Because if Nigeria had agreed with these people What are you talking about? Let us understand your thought. Is there anything wrong to conduct maybe, or let everybody go in their separate ways? They change the constitution, they do all those things. People will continue to live. There will be security, there will be managing of your resources and so on and so forth. But the government did not do it. This is the problem.
Well, Mr. Okocha, as Nigeria, I have to put it this way. As Nigeria, first of all, is the dream of the neo-colonists. When trying to go on secession, a certain region trying to secede from the government, it is a golden opportunity for that region, but not for Nigeria. I want it to be clear. It is a golden opportunity for the Igbos, for the Yorubas, whatever they are doing, but not for Nigeria. Because Nigeria is a dream of the neo-colonists. And the golden opportunity of that dream as Nigeria is to keep Nigeria the way it is. So right there, the dreamer, the neo-colonist, has not missed any opportunity. But us as the people who are falsely called Nigerians, who have been grouped within a certain border and called Nigeria as a country of our citizenship, we are those people who seemingly try to miss the golden opportunity. I'm talking about seemingly missing the golden opportunity. But we are not really doing that in the right way. That I will not say that those people have missed that golden opportunity. They've not missed that as Nigerians because they are falsely as Nigerians. They are missing that golden opportunity as Igbos, as Yorubas, as Fulanis, whatsoever. And how are they missing that golden opportunity? Because they are standing, fighting for the values that are not proper to them. They are fighting for democracy. They are fighting for the republic. They are fighting for whatsoever. That even when the Igbos want to go on secession, there will be this minority tribe trying to come against whatsoever. And that is making the Igbos missing the golden opportunity, but not Nigeria as such missing a golden opportunity. Because Nigeria is just a dream, and that dream was gotten in the way that Nigeria should be the way it is. Insecurity, hunger, impoverishment, unemployment. That is the dream as Nigeria. But when you see the people living in that enclosed as a country, they don't dream that way. And they don't even speak as Nigerians. Look at them. They speak as Igbos. They speak as Yorubas. So their golden opportunity is still on their way, but they just have to fight for it in the right way.
All right. You just said a word there that they just have to fight for it in a right way, because that is where I'm going to. Because people that have been fighting for this have been in prison and so on and so forth. How do you think that we could fight hard and achieve what we really want?
In some of the comments in our previous videos, I was reading one of them saying that this is too late. He was referring to regionalism. It's too late. All we want is Biafra or nothing else. You see that? That is the wrong way of fighting this matter, of fighting this battle, because I believe that we have to go deep in our thinking. When you say Biafra or nothing else, but you must look at the context. How are you going to take Biafra out of that context and succeed in that process?
Without regionalism.
That's it. How are you going to do that? Because the moment you try to take Biafra out, the person who dreamed about Nigeria the way it is will not let you do that, because it will be something that they'll be missing right there. Then here will come the minority tribe to bring about whatsoever the trouble to make you fail. And when I'm talking about the minority tribe, I'm referring to the country system. And when I'm referring to the country system, I'm talking about the presidency. So the president himself will stand against you people, not to succeed taking out Biafra and name it as a country on its own. So you cannot just come and claim that Biafra or nothing. You have to think on how to do that. Now, here the minority tribe, as I said, they are not from that original land. if they depend somehow on whatsoever resources coming from Biafra, and here you come, you say that Biafra must get out, and those people who are fighting for survival will not have any means to survive if really they depend on Biafra.
Yeah.
So in order for you to make it with peace, you have to sit with the people who are being used as instruments of instability. You have to sit with them. And by sitting with them, we are trying to review the political system. Because if you are from Biafra, you will not allow a Fulani to rule over you. If you are from Fulani, you will not trust a Biafran to rule over you because you know that you're a minority, not from that land. But here you need something that belongs to Biafra. And here is Biafra who wants to go away, but the Fulani here for their survival, and they don't want to let you do that. Now, what is necessary to be done here is to sit together. And that's why we are recalling again regionalism here. That Biafra cannot sit without talking about regionalism. And that regionalism is not following the Western model of regionalism. We are not following that. Because the Western model of regionalism will make regions depend on their own resources and develop their own land as such. Mr. Okocha, that is a challenge right there. Let's say that Biafra got oil and whatsoever, and Fulani land does not get that. Now, Biafra are the people defending their lands against the dream of the neo-colonists. And Biafra here are the people, like, being brought in by the neo-colonists as part of the country system. So if the Fulani people need oil from Biafra, and Biafra here standing on their own, the Fulani will not get it. They will not get it. And if they don't get it, the West as well will not get it. Now, what must be done? There must be some kind of armed insurgents coming out and then bringing this kind of trouble on the land. But if we can come together and say, whatsoever the resources that we have there in Fulani lands and the one we have in Biafra, there will be an economic structure. There will be like an economic structure or perhaps a regional bank that will be distributing this wealth equally among us, or perhaps in terms of population ratio, whatsoever, in the way that each and everyone will have enough funds for self-development. In that way, the Fulani will be like, okay, whatsoever they have in Biafra, due to the common economic structure that will be distributing wealth, we have nothing to lose. We can still accept that because we're still benefiting from that oil they have over there. And the Biafran as well, okay, we're still benefiting from whatsoever we have on the other side of the land. So there will be nothing like we have to fight for survival because you have what I don't have. There will be nothing as such. At least from there, people will start emerging and understanding each other and try to build up a political system that is inclusive to each and everyone.
In a situation, Mr. Clavis, where the oil in the South Nigeria, in the Southeast Nigeria, is being owned by people from the North, do you think people from those Southern Nigeria will be happy? Because that is what is happening in our present government. The oil wells in the Southern Nigeria, some of the people in the Northern Nigeria owns it because it's being allocated by the federal government. So that is why people are questioning that if we must go to regionalism, that the people will have their own security and manage their own resources. What do you have to say about this?
Well, in the way we're talking about right here, we have to understand this context. Why is it that oil found in the South being owned by the people from far North?
Why?
It's simply because they believe that you are the owner of the house, you know the value of that land, you will not let anyone just to come in and steal. You'll make it difficult for the ones benefiting from that oil. There must be someone from outside who's not original from that land. The people, they'll be hiding behind and pushing them so that it will be like black on black. But when you look at it, it is the worst. Running away from the owners of that oil because they know that they'll be radical and defending their own lands and values. So there must be some group of people who are not from that land so that if they have to kill to access that land, to access the oil, let it be. And that is what is going on right there. In order for us to get it out, we have to understand that if those people in the North as well agree to do things like that, because they believe that due to tribalism, due to tribal differences, the people from the South will not just allow them to benefit from that oil.
Okay.
And because of that, they have to use this, kind of force and grab it by all means, so that at least they can benefit from what the land that is not belonging to them producing. And that is where I came up saying that if there is an economic structure that will be controlling what that land is producing, even though your land is not doing that, but provided that the economic structure is distributing that wealth equally, then everyone will benefit from it. There will be nothing like someone from the north risking it all to go and get it by force, because that is the only way you can benefit from that. But if there is an economic structure on the basis of regionalism, distributing that wealth equally, even those people from the north that we believe to be sellout will not be that sellout anymore. They will change.
I understand. But I don't think this is a bad idea anyway. But what is your own idea of regionalism?
Mr. Okocha, when talking about regionalism in the context of Afro-democracy, I believe that there shouldn't be one leader above many other tribal lands, provided that if the leader is from a certain tribal land, let him be the one leading that land, first of all. Now, to avoid all these frictions pushing each other in the way that, this tribe here has gold or diamonds, and we are from a poor land, those ones can easily be manipulated by the world to come against those who have gold. Then there will be troubles in the society, whatsoever, civil wars, all those kind of things. To avoid that, I've said that in the book Afro-democracy, New African Order, that we have to establish an economic structure that will be represented by all the ethnicities, all the tribal groups in the country as a council, whereby they will be controlling the wealth of the country and distributing the revenues equally, or perhaps per population ratio, so that each and everyone will have enough funds of self-development. In that way, those who are from poor land will not be tempted to take arms, weapons, to go and fight just because they want that piece of gold for self-development, and only to see that most part of that gold is being taken out. Fight against those rich lands. They will never.
All right. You know that if we are in the regional government now, we have our own security. Do you think that if we have our own security being controlled by us, that other tribes can infiltrate us easily as they are doing to Nigeria?
Mr. Okocha, that's impossible. In the way I've said it, because we're in the context of Afro-democracy. When talking about security, if you have regionalism, let's talk about the police force first.
Okay.
I suggested that the police should be according to the region. That if I'm from Igbo land, as an example, let the police force be constituted of the people who are from that land. There will be no abuse. There will be no abuse as such. Come on, how can you take your own Igbo brother as a police officer and abuse him? You'll first consider him in terms of tribalism, which is nationalism, but in the context of the tribe. That when the police director is coming from a far land and is given a mandate to go and intervene in a land of which is not of origin, he will not care about the people who are from that land because they don't share the same values. They don't speak the same dialect. Somewhere he will be abusive towards them. So, in the context of security, in reference to Afro-democracy, let the police force be constituted of members who are from that region, so that they can recognize each other in terms of values, in terms of culture. So there will be nothing like right abuses and whatsoever. That's the first point. Then in terms of the army, let there be no Ministry of Defense represented by one minister who's perhaps too close to the presidency, and who's there carrying up the mandate of the West. Like, don't send the troops in this trouble region because the West is benefiting from that trouble. As the Minister of Defense, knowing that he's not from that region, he will do a say And if you check this world across Africa, the Minister of Defense is never from the land that is facing insecurity and troubles. I- I've checked that in most African countries facing wars and insecurities. The Minister of Defense is never from that land because he will never stand watching his people being killed, massacred just like that. He will intervene. So, in
Mm.
order for that plan to carry on, the Minister of Defense must be from a land foreign to that land that is in trouble so that
Mm.
he will not care due to the fact that there's a difference in terms of tribes, in terms of culture, in terms of values.
Wow.
Now, in the context of Afro-democracy, since we're talking about security here, I suggested that the defense should be represented by a council. That if we have 10 states in that so-called Nigeria, for example, let that council of defense be represented by 10 members coming from each state in the country so that each state will have its own voice within that council of defense. In that way, if there is an armed insurgency coming up from wherever, whoever is from that land that is facing trouble will speak loud in the council that we have to deploy the military to defend my region. And that will
Yeah.
be done swiftly, as if we are in the context of the United Nations, where all security members are standing on their own defense, like, okay, you cannot attack Russia, you cannot attack the United States, you cannot attack the United Kingdom. Why are they all speaking that? Because they all sit in the council. They know how to fight for their own interest. But for my country or your country not sitting there in the Council of Security of the United Nations, see how we're facing all the trouble because there's no one there to speak on our behalf. In the same way as well, when we have the Minister of Defense, there's no one to speak for those lands that are facing insecurity. It is the
Mm.
Minister of Defense himself, speaking on behalf of whoever nominated him there. But that will not be the case if we have the Council of Defense, whereby each nation, each state in that so-called republic is represented and then defending their own interest. There will
Wow,
be
that
no
is
insecurity.
interesting. That is interesting. Now, as I told you that, like next 4 days, we were expecting the release of Marcel Nnamdi Kanu, the
Hmm.
leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. What do you have to say regarding his release and the destiny of the separatist movement?
Being released, that will be something great. I'm just proud to see that despite the fact that many of them spending day in prison, most of their, such a long sentence. But when they come out of there, they're still stronger and still speaking about what led them to prison.
Mm.
Because I believe when they take them to prison, is the way to change their mind, to change their perception.
Exactly. To
We've
kill their
seen some of
spirit.
those African leaders being taken to the Netherlands. How do you call this international courts whatsoever?
ICC.
The longer they stay there, and when they come out, they are not the same anymore. They change their perception right there. But for those brothers, like the case of Nnamdi Kanu coming out and still saying that he still wants to fight as it was before being arrested, that is something great. But in the context of Afro-democracy, Mr. Okocha, I said it. I don't want those brothers being arrested. I don't want them being taken in because the longer they stay in prison, it is the people who've been following them, lacking what I can say, the kind of food that is necessary for their society. Because whatsoever he's been saying, being arrested, he couldn't say that for all this time he's been in prison. I don't want those leaders killed. I don't want them arrested. I want them free. But how are they going to be free in the context of the republic? That's the thing right there. The moment they stand and fight for Biafra, Biafra will be seceding from the rest, knowing well that Biafra is rich or whatsoever. Those others will always come fighting against them. But if they can come up with a context whereby they are going to share the world in a context of regionalism that is inclusive to all the regions, to all the states in Nigeria, I am telling you, Mr. Okocha, there will be the likes of Nnamdi Kanu rising up from other part of Nigeria, knowing pretty well that whoever is rich, that resource will also be part of my future. So they will
Okay.
come together and defend that. All I'm trying to say that it's not easy for Nnamdi Kanu to go on this way, knowing pretty well that if we try to break free from the rest, there will still be that rest coming after Biafra because of what Biafra possesses. And in order to avoid that, it's much better to silence the person who's advocating for such a secession. And shortly, it's just the fear of losing, nothing else.
Okay.
There's this fear of losing, nothing else. So if we want to succeed in this process of Biafra, we have to make sure that those who are out, those who are not originally from Biafra, those who are fearing losing whatsoever they're benefiting from Biafra, are assured that future, that there will be this world sharing, that whatsoever you are producing in your land must be shared equally with others, and whatsoever we are producing here will also be done so. In that way, each state will constitute what I call economic structure that will be coordinating all the resources and distributing wealth in the country, perhaps by population ratio, for self-development. In that way, there will be no trouble as arresting whatsoever, but people will stand against the
Wow.
presidency and turn things around. They will do that. There will be many Nnamdi Kanus rising from Nigeria because they know that no one is going to lose, but everyone is going to have a culture of wealth. There will be
Wow.
no fear of losing because everyone will be gaining. That's it.
We'll be looking forward to see what is going to unfold in these coming days. But it is the dream of every Nigeria for us to go in our separate ways without violence. It is our dream for us to rule ourselves. Because as I do tell you, for example, the rate of kidnapping in Nigeria don't have the statistics. So many things are going on that, let me say, this so-called entity called Nigeria don't have the capacity to administrate the nation. It is not working. So that is why it has become the dream of everyone to go their separate ways so that we can administrate ourselves. No matter how you pretend that Nigeria is working, the history is going to prove you wrong. Because right from 1960, it has been going wrong every day. It has been going worst, worst, worst. So no matter how you said you are going to advocate for good governance and so on and so forth, I'm talking about the reality. I'm not talking about what you profess. I'm talking about what we feel, what we see, what we experience as Nigerians is catastrophe. Either you're waiting to be kidnapped or you're waiting to be killed. Your currency is nothing to write about. Your hard-earned money can depreciate in one day and you lose everything you have.
Without stopping you, all that must be taken in the context that there's a fear of losing. They do that, those doing that are just fearing losing what they could get from the land trying to secede. That was my point there.
Wow. Your explanation has really, sharpened my idea, and I understood that indeed this is an opportunity that if all these people like Yoruba, Hausa, Igbos, the South, if we could go in our own separate way, it is a golden opportunity.
It
Believe
is,
me,
Mr.
we are
Okocha,
really
please
missing.
allow me to add something.
Okay, okay.
It is a good thing to go like each one in its own way, as you try and put it. But I want to put it clear that it's quite impossible without addressing the fear of other social group of people. There's a fear there. If we don't address that, no matter how we will call to go our own separate ways, that will never succeed. It will never. I'll put it this way, Mr. Okocha. I'm from a poor region with no resources, with no production at all. That is to say that I'm depending on the central government, the tax or whatsoever, the revenues from other rich lands. As you say, the people from the north are the ones controlling oil from the south. So I will not allow the south just to go free. How am I going to survive on my land? How am I going to survive as a left out region? How am I going to survive? I have to hold on to that, not to secede, because what that land possesses is what as well that is making me survive. So that fear must be addressed first. Otherwise, like that comment on one of your videos saying that Biafra or nothing else, that is like stabbing ourselves. Because you'll never get Biafra alone without addressing the fear of the people who don't want Biafra to be free. You must address their fear first, that if we can just do it this way, whatsoever will be done that way. If we don't address that you're all you have there, they need that to survive. They will never let it happen. And
I
the
got
way
that.
to never let it happen will be in the name of the Republic of Nigeria, with Biafra included. Then tell me, how is Biafra going to succeed in that secession? There's no way. They will never make it through.
I got that. Wow, that is true. That is absolutely true. And I believe that you will give us opportunity for another interview on that 19th day. That is next 4 days, on 19th day of March. I don't know your schedules, but it would have been very good and very, very important for us to have a broadcast that day, because we are expecting so many things to unfold that very day, regards to the release of Kanu.
No problem, Mr. Okocha. We'll do that, but let it be clear in the land, in the mind of the likes of Brother Kanu and the followers, that the battle is so complex, but that complexity can be made simple if we address the fear of the people who are really concerned about Biafra being free. We must address their fear first. Then that plan will go smoothly, successfully. Otherwise, there will just be troubles, obstacles on the way here and there. And we don't want that, because the people are suffering. We need a quick solution. I'll be there anytime, Mr. Okocha. We are here for that.
Thank you so much.
We are
I really appreciate your time and everything.